Welcome to this recording of Habit, Your Master or Your Slave. In this brilliant and imaginative discourse, Paramahansa Yogananda explores the unseen forces that shape human behavior. He describes how habits, whether constructive or destructive, become internal rulers, and how through introspection, reason, and will, we can dethrone unworthy habits and install uplifting ones. We are honored to share his divine insights and timeless wisdom with you today. The human brain, with its hilly ranges of cerebral convolutions, inlaid with arterial streamlets and dark rivers of veins, presents an epitome of a huge estate. Is this exquisite territory devoid of a divine resident? Could there be a book without an author, a clock without a maker, a rose without a designer? Nay. Similarly, the cerebral domain of mystic beauty has been shaped by wondrous, intelligent agencies. Who lives in this marvelous hall, whose walls of mortared osseous tissues are fitted with ocular, tactual, auditory, olfactory, and gustatory doors? Beneath the dome of the human skull, a colony of myriads of cells pulsating with life and intelligence are playing out scenes of intense activity. Tiny brain cells are engaged in diverse pursuits, banqueting, introspecting, and receiving guests of sensations that enter from the outer sensory doors. There is buying and selling going on, processes of absorption and elimination. Like tiny boats, blood corpuscles paddle along arterial streams, laden with various vital commodities. Guiding and controlling many of these cellular activities is an unseen band of impish pixies and good fairies, habits. Sometimes great mischief is created when foreign and lawless habits are permitted entry into the cranial commonwealth. They set themselves up as lords, dominating the activities of their hosts, the brain cells. When the latter attempt to resist this encroachment on their freedom, these United States of flesh become a scene of civil war. The whole bodily country is thrown into disorder, while the brain cells furiously debate the right of certain habits to act as petty dictators. How do habits gain power to tyrannize over human conduct? Every human activity, whether it be performed as an outward physical movement or as an inner process of thought, is a vote for a particular habit. Repetition of that action or thought swells the number of votes in favor of electing that habit to a seat in the bodily government. A considerable number of such actions vote that habit into office. At different periods of life, a collective vote of all previous human actions determines which habits are going to predominate and rule supreme. An election by numerical superiority alone, without adherence to a desirable qualitative standard, may bring disaster upon a country. If the majority of voters are morons or criminals, they are bound to blunder and elect the wrong president. Similarly, unless the votes of human actions are cast according to the supreme law of discrimination, the brain cells may thoughtlessly enslave themselves under tyrannical habit dictators. Maintenance of a truly enlightened spiritual democracy in the bodily country requires a thorough education of the brain cell citizenry. The latter should be trained not to permit habit candidates to be elected merely on the numerical strength of thoughtlessly repeated actions, but should consciously exercise the qualitative power of discriminative attention with the casting of every action vote. They should be guided by ideal rationalism, and heed its warnings against accepting the bribe of sentimental attachment to environment, which leads to the misuse of voting power. Discriminative reason should be the sole guide in selection of the presidential habit candidates. Habits of drinking, excessive smoking, overindulgence in coffee or tea, and habitual moods of anger, greed, envy, sloth, and despondency are usually elected to office by the cumulative numerical strength of unwise hordes of little actions performed without any thought of the after effect of enslavement. Persons addicted to such habits are not born ineluctably to their unfortunate fate. In this or in a past life, knowingly or unknowingly, they have enslaved themselves through constant repetition of certain actions. The first drink never made a drunkard. The first act of sensuality never made a libertine. The first use of narcotics never made a dope addict. It was a series of mechanical or ill-considered repetitions of such misguided actions that elected these gripping habits to power. Quantitative strength won against the qualitative voice of attentive reason, which had become weakened through failure to exercise its powers and had thus lost its vote. Guard yourself, therefore, against the first performance of a wrong act, what you do once you are likely to do again. It is by repetition that a habit grows stronger and bigger, like a rolling snowball. Use your reason in all your actions, otherwise you may thoughtlessly convert yourself into a helpless slave of undesirable habits. A strong bad habit presiding for a long time over the bodily country brings chaos and misery. Spiritual famine, mental fevers, and a universal poverty of body and mind exist in that misruled land. A strong bad habit should be impeached before a tribunal of daily introspection under the presiding judge of conscience, who should inform the court of reason that the inevitable outcome of persistence in the offending actions will be an impaired nervous system, wasted powers, and vanished happiness. This constantly sounded note of warning may serve gradually to persuade the jury of reason to the decision to put away forever the guilty victimizing habit. Sometimes it is difficult to convince the court. Many persons who excessively smoke, drink, or indulge in sex experiences do not seek or even wish to be free of these slavish compulsions. They delusively think that there is nothing harmful about what they are doing because they don't immediately suffer disillusioning, painful consequences. Childlike, they fail to visualize the ultimate results of their actions. They do not see that they have set into motion laws that work impartially for good or ill, according to the nature of human actions. That, although the shovels of harmful habits dig slowly, they yet dig surely a yawning, untimely grave, a pit of misery toward which the slave of wrong habits proceeds through scorching flames of suffering. Of such entrapped persons, the Gita says, harboring bewildering thoughts, caught in the net of delusion, craving only sensual delights, they sink into a foul hell. First, convince your mind that you are going to overthrow the tyranny of the undesirable ruling habit. Then begin the work of constitutional agitation and actual impeachment. A whining or sorrowing attitude, gentle remonstrance, or even violent but spasmodic rebellion is of little avail. It is through continuous repetition of certain actions that you are the maker of your habits, and you must undo hurtful ones by a similarly regular effort, implemented by conscious exercise of will and the discriminative power of reason. Relate your actions to new and better habits. Keep them continuously busy, interested, and attentive in serving good habits and in fraternizing with other good actions. If your actions begin to revert to their old dangerous habit-influenced associations, don't become discouraged. Persist in right actions, give them sufficient time and attention, and the voting strength of the new good actions will increase and finally become powerful enough to overthrow the worthless habit and to elect in its place a worthy one. It takes time for even a bad habit to attain supremacy, so why be impatient about the growth of a rival good habit? Do not despair about your undesirable habits. Simply stop feeding them and thus making them strong by repetition. The time that elapses in the formation of habits varies with individual nervous systems and brains, and is chiefly determined by the quality of one's attention. Through the power of deep, concentration-trained attention, any habit may be installed, that is, new patterns may be made in the brain, almost instantaneously and at will. The potency of concentration and will to create good and bad fortune is strikingly summed up in the biblical verse. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath. This truth is particularly applicable to habits. A man of good actions strengthens his will to perform further good actions, and thus increases in virtue with little effort. But a slave of bad habits debauches his will and reason, so that eventually he is not only powerless to create new good habits, but also has weakened his hold on whatever good habits he may have had at the start. Government of one's actions by intuitional, wisdom-guided discrimination, uninfluenced by either good or bad habits, imparts unbounded power of will. But that man succeeds supremely, O Arjuna, who, disciplining the senses by the mind, unattached, keeps his organs of activity steadfast on the path of God-uniting actions. A man with such power can instantly fix a new habit in his brain or stop one at will. An ideal democracy presupposes rational, willing obedience to good laws without any goading by higher authority or other external influences. Similarly, a wise man, one who is really free, avoids error and performs good, not from the compulsion of habit, but from free and reasoned choice. Such a one does not permit himself to be dominated by even a good habit, lest in so doing he fail to exercise full discriminative choice of action. A good habit may be enforced simply because there has never been any temptation of evil to overthrow it. A good habit thus established is not necessarily fixed permanently in the nature, because it has been maintained not from discriminative choice and reason, but as a result of favoring circumstance. All national tastes and human customs are habits, circumstantially acquired as a result of environmental influence. Love of Americanism or of Hinduism is the outcome of habit and familiarity. If I had had the choice, I would have preferred to be a human chameleon, free to embrace the desirable aspects of all nationalities and all creeds. We can test our power over our habits by commanding the mind to like or dislike a certain food at will. On one occasion, I found this particular test useful. Shortly after I had come to America, I attended a dinner at which Roquefort cheese and crackers were served. No sooner had Mr. Roquefort touched the palate, and no sooner had his arrival become known to the cerebral cells, than the habit lords of taste instituted a rebellion among the honored guests already gathered in my stomach, who became very upset and began to threaten, "If you let Mr. Roquefort in, we will all leave in a body." I did not enjoy this sudden embarrassment. Noticing that everyone else at the table was greatly relishing the peculiar food, I strongly urged my senses to elect immediately the Roquefort cheese-enjoying habit. Then I liked the taste at once and have continued to like it from that time on. Why is it that you sometimes find yourself acting or reacting contrary to your real desires? Because over a period of time, you have built up habits that are contrary to those desires, and your actions automatically flatter your habits. You must first establish habits that will influence your actions to cater to your true ideals. Habit is an automatic mechanism for performing actions without expending the mental and physical labor ordinarily involved in performing actions that are new to us. Wrongly used, this mechanism is an archenemy, threatening man's citadel of free choice. Be practical. Try from today to overcome inimical habits hidden within you, garbed as environmental likes and dislikes. Oust them and be free to act from reason alone. Your habits are not you. Shake off that delusion and you will remember your true self, the perfect image of God within you. Thank you for listening to this recording of Habit, Your Master or Your Slave by Paramahansa Yogananda. May this empowering wisdom awaken in you the strength to reclaim your inner dominion. You are not the slave of past patterns. You are the immortal soul, born to rule your thoughts and actions with divine clarity and unshakable will. Peace. Amen.